Austin Scott and I go back. So I know Austin Scott when he was in the insurance business. And he had a book of, he ran an insurance business, got to raise a family down there. And now he's been in Congress. He ran for governor. And he's been one of our main guys fighting a good fight. And we love having him on. Congressman Scott, great to have you with us here. I know
Glad
you're
to
up
be
the
here,
street.
John.
We're at Fair. This place, I've been coming here, Austin, 12 years. Most of the time you're here live, but this is a little bit different. Even different when Trump was here. Like there's, here's what I sense, and I've been here coming 12 years in a row. A sense of urgency and anxiety. That's what I've gotten here in the first 4 hours I've been here. That I've had people, depressed, excited, the future, what we're doing. But the first 4 hours, I've gotten anxiety and urgency. Sir, what say you?
Well, I think you're right, John. Look, we have today in Washington, we have tomorrow in Washington, we have 3 days next week, and then Pelosi's sending us home until after the election. Well, the end of the fiscal year is coming up. There's no budget mechanism that has been passed to carry on the operations beyond the end of the fiscal year, nor has she shared language with us for that appropriation measure or continuing resolution measure. You got Chuck Schumer, who's running the Senate, who has refused to put the National Defense Authorization Act. Now look at everything going on in the world, John. You would think that the National Defense Authorization Act would take priority over going home over the next couple of days, but they're in chaos, and they're carrying the country down with them. And so the country deserves better than this. It appears that they're going to send us home in a few days until after the election. And there's a whole lot of work that has to be done, John, between now and then, and the Dems won't even share the language with us.
So what are they for? They've totally cut you out. They know they're going to get. They know they're facing annihilation here in November. Austin, I went over all the polls today. They're pushing out the fake news narrative about how Biden is making a comeback, and people now like his policies, and the Democrats could hold the Senate. They're going to get killed. You just look at the poll in the AJC. Walker's going to win. Kemp's up by 10. Ravensburger's up by 20. Carr's up by 15. This is a complete blowout in Georgia. So you look at the individual polling, you guys are going to win 40, 50 seats. How are they? What's the Democrat? You're there. What is their plan here in the last dying days of their regime?
I don't know, John. It's I don't know. But let's talk about what they've done. Mm-hmm. They have literally, under Joe Biden, given the Prince of Saudi Arabia more control over our economy than we have. Mm-hmm. by making us dependent on foreign sources of oil again. We had energy independence in the palm of our hand, and they gave it away. They canceled the Keystone Pipeline. They have, through the EPA and other agencies, refused to allow domestic energy production. And now, if the Prince of Saudi Arabia goes to OPEC and says, hey, we're going to cut production and send the price of a barrel of oil through the roof, imagine what that does to our economy. Why would you want to give somebody who doesn't share your interest or your values control of your economy? And that's exactly what Joe Biden and the Democrats have done. And so I think Americans see that risk out there. I think they want to change. I think they want a government that works for them instead of against them. And I think when November comes that the people are going to go vote. The challenge for us, John, is that you've got the George Soroses of the world who are giving billions of dollars to the Democratic Party. You've got CNN and MSNBC and the other news sources that are giving them at the same time billions of dollars worth of free time on the air by promoting their agenda. And then we're out there. Our supporters are giving what they can and putting up signs and doing everything they can. And I think ultimately Americans go to the polls and say enough is enough, and we've got to have, we've got to take the country back and put America first again. So I'm looking forward to November. There's a lot that can go wrong between now and then, John. And so I don't think you're wrong that we're going to win the House and the Senate back, but I don't think we can take it for granted.
You think they'll try to do anything to stop the red wave that's the tsunami coming?
Oh yeah, just look.
Give me an example.
Look what they've done with the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, right? I mean, that is our reserve that is for natural disasters in times of war. And they've used our reserves that are for natural disasters in times of war to drive down the price of a gallon of unleaded gasoline. And that is one of the reasons they've seen some relief in the polls lately. But it's an abuse of power. And so when we take over, one of the things that I hope that will pass is that, the president no longer has the authority to tap into the SPR without an approval of Congress, unless it is times of natural disaster or war declared by the United States Congress. He's put us in a pretty bad position by doing what he's done with that SPR, and it's all for his own political gain.
So, let me ask you this. You guys take control. I just had a couple of our Border Patrol guys on. Tom Homan, you know him. You also know Mark Morgan. Both of them said in a Republican Congress, obviously Biden would veto this, so we're talking about 2025 if we have
veto it.
Yeah, and look, Trump was on my show the other day. No question he's going to run. He said he was going to announce it somewhere between November 9th and Thanksgiving. He's president 25. Can you get border security legislatively so another president can't come in like Biden did and just open it up to get cheap votes, flood the country with fentanyl?
Yeah. Hey, John. What the Dems don't want to talk about, and what Americans need to know. I mean, Donald Trump had an agreement with a DACA solution for border security. Most Americans will accept that. I'm not saying every American will accept it, but most Americans would accept you secure our border and stop this nonsense from coming in conjunction with a solution for the DACA recipients in this country. That is an agreement that the vast, vast majority of Americans would accept. Donald Trump had that agreement. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer killed that agreement because they didn't want Donald Trump to get credit for a DACA solution. So that agreement is there now. That agreement has been there. And if you look at the Democrats that are saying, hey, these governors are using these people as pawns, the Republicans aren't using these people as pawns. It's been the Democratic Party that's been using these people as pawns, specifically the DACA recipients. They've had the House, the Senate, and the presidency for 24 months now, John. Have they passed a DACA solution? The answer is no.
No.
Well, why haven't they? The bottom line is they don't want a solution to anything. The Democrats thrive on chaos. Democrats believe that bad policy is good politics. That's it. And so that bad policy is detrimental to our country. We as Republicans believe that good policy is good politics. We live in a democracy, which means you've got to have some compromise. That compromise for border security and a DACA solution has been there for years. It was there under Donald Trump. And it is Pelosi and Schumer that have shot it down. The end result of not having border security, enough fentanyl was seized in Tifton, Georgia the other day, my hometown, to kill 270,000 Americans. Tift County, the whole county, has about 40,000 people in it. And there was enough fentanyl in one bust to kill 250,000 people, 5 times the population of the county. It's got to stop, John.
They just don't care, Austin.
They don't.
Congressman. I mean, it's just, we've been talking about this all day. Like, you get Kamala Harris going to the border, not going to the border, saying the border secure, which is a complete lie because their policy is to just let as many people in so they can get all these new voters, transform.
They're inviting them here.
What?
They're inviting them here.
Exactly. There's an incentive. They give them cars, they give them money, they ship money where they want. But, like, as one of the consequences of the policy of transforming the country with illegal voters, that's really what this is about, so they can somehow get power back or keep power, is the number of our kids dying from fentanyl. Like, how do these people sleep at night? Like, is that corner office they've got and that staff so important to their life that they're willing to basically annihilate young men and women that are taking this fentanyl and like you say, dying every single day, which is a direct result of their open border policy.
Yes, they care more about their personal power. They care more about power and being in office than they care about the people of this country. That's the bottom line, and Americans are paying a very dear price for it. I mean, again, look, you go back to the energy situation, John. Why did Biden cancel the Keystone Pipeline? It was all politics. It was pandering to a far left base.
Right.
What's the end result of that? The end result of that is now, when we had energy security prior to Biden taking office, now we no longer have energy security.
Right.
So what's the end result of it? Well, the end result of it is we still burn the diesel. We just get it from Saudi Arabia. And so it's got to be shipped across the oceans. And instead of buying it from a friend and an ally in Canada, we buy it from someone who doesn't share our interests or share our values.
Well, I love the statement. I love the statement you made earlier, which is KSA. I mean, Biden has made like KSA now in charge of our energy policy, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I mean, Bin Salman, MBS now runs U.S. energy. I mean, it's just we could go on, Austin Scott, but I tell you what, we're going to annihilate him in November. I mean, you look at these poll numbers like I do. Forget the fake polls at NBC coming out trying to tell you the generic ballot is tied or Democrats are ahead. You look at individual races, and you look at the crosstab numbers, and people are upset. We're winning on every single issue. I think we're going to get a massive Trump turnout like you've never seen, kind of like we did in Virginia in 21. And I think you guys are going to have a very significant majority. Pittsburgh is supposed to be. Is this Monday? Have you heard, when is the caucus releasing their blueprint, their commitment to America?
It should be Thursday, I believe. Are we releasing the blueprint on Thursday? Or will it be next week?
Thursday?
Friday. Be Friday,
Next
John.
Friday. A week from this Friday, or
I think
this Friday coming up?
I think it's this Friday. Yep.
Oh, man. And that's in Pittsburgh. See, I got to go to the rally in North Carolina or I'd be there. So now I got to choose Pittsburgh or Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm going to leave it to you. You've been my friend for 25 years. What should I do? Should I go to Pittsburgh?
I'd go to North Carolina myself.
All right, Austin Scott.